And we're on. I think we're on episode 8 now. Sure.
Is it episode 8?
I think so. So anyways, what is up?
Tired, man. Just everything.
Let's start with you first, because I'm exhausted too. It's been a long day for me. But we gotta keep this thing going, right?
Oh yeah. I don't know if this whole 10 o'clock thing is sustainable.
It's not gonna be forever, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's just that I had to make sure that my baby is not gonna interrupt the whole episode, right?
I think
otherwise you'd see me.
Yeah, if because aren't you on your paternal leave right now? You're still on your paternal leave.
Yep.
If we have to, we can do something like we can record on a weeknights if this isn't working for you. I mean, at least for now, because bro, 10 o'clock is rough. 10 o'clock is rough.
I totally understand.
Yeah, we're not spring chickens anymore. We're not young.
I know.
You a daddy.
Well, it's the thing. I totally understand because I'm in the same boat. Like exactly. I can't do 9 o'clock because then I want to sleep earlier. Well, I know it's later for you. I get that too. Which is why I'm like, well, you gotta, weigh the consequences.
Just so everybody know, we're on different timelines. You're on time zone, not timeline. See, I'm tired. You're on, I believe, Central time zone, and I'm on Eastern time zone, which is I'm 1 hour ahead of you.
Yeah. So
as we're recording right now, it's 10 o'clock here, and it's 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock here. Right. We would typically do this at 8 p.m. my time.
Like an hour before, yeah. But anyways, enough of the boring time stuff. Yeah, so what happened to me this week, Friday was my last day at work.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So, yeah.
Okay, so tell me about it. Because I'm now, we can take this conversation to...
No. Don't be taking conversations nowhere. Anyways, let me just say my story. Yeah, Friday was my last day. It was bittersweet.
Okay.
It was very weird because this is my first, this is my my career. Like this is this isn't just a job, and this is my first one, so I've got a little bit of a sentimental thing to it.
Totally understand, man. Keep going. Yeah.
As anything, I'm moving down to Georgia. Well, I'm moving down south. Temporarily in Georgia for a little bit in a couple of days. So it was weird, everything was good when it comes to like the job. I've had great relationships with my supervisors and my coworkers.
Good stuff, yeah.
Like glowing review. I actually today I went over one of my supervisors, the main person who trained me for the job.
Yeah.
She invited me for like late lunch at her house.
Oh,
like
that's
nice.
That's
how awesome like our relationship was. So
that's the kind of relationship that you would want to keep, I'd say, forever.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right.
Definitely.
It's because they can help you out throughout the rest of your career if you're in that same industry, right?
It's not just even career, just in general, just having like lifetime connections with people and things. It's good for you.
It is.
And went over there, spent like, I think I stayed there for like 4 hours. We were just talking, which was like pretty cool. And
were you guys talking about work related stuff, or were you guys talking about like something more personal, like talking about your next steps?
Both. Yeah, both actually. Because she knew what I went through up here. She was here when throughout the proposal and throughout the breakup and all that stuff. Ooh, little nuggets. She was I was talking to her throughout all that, which so she's very hip to the situation and all that. So it was cool. So summarizing my week, it was very. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Summarizing the week, it was bittersweet. That's my main thing about it.
Here's one thing I'm going to add to that one. It's always going to be bittersweet, regardless if you hated your job too. The first job that I had after I graduated from college was I left because the job was too stressful,
Right.
and like I've made a decision that, hey, you know what, I'm leaving. I'm not sticking around. It's like this isn't the kind of place I want to work for forever. So you'd think that it would be like I'd be I was excited to leave, don't get me wrong. But when I was leaving and shaking everyone else's hand, everyone's hand at work, and them saying bye, like, yeah, we all understand why you had to leave, but I felt sad. It made me feel like I wanted to stay, right? It,
Right.
and this is the job that I wanted. This is the company that I don't want to work for. I guess let me rephrase that. Like I don't want to work for my bosses. I don't like working for my superiors, I guess. But the people on the shop floor, that are the ones that I'm working with, they're okay to work with. Like I like working with them, and that's what made the whole thing sad.
Yeah.
And every time every time I left, I don't know if I told you, but I've jumped from one company to another. I actually wrote a piece about that one. Um, it's always bittersweet. It's always sad to leave.
Yeah. It
It's
is. Yeah, it is. And I mean, couple that with me leaving where I am as well. It's not just the job.
the job.
It's the place.
Yeah.
And I've I've fallen in love with this place, with the state. Maryland is I hold dear to my heart. And I was actually having a conversation with this to a friend today, and I was telling this friend that I honestly could see myself moving back up here, like sometime in the future, to actually settle here with a family and put down my roots, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. It With what you're saying now, it sounds to me like you're about to close a chapter in your life and you're about to start a new one. That's what makes the
Definitely.
whole thing sad, right?
Yeah.
Um, but in the end, like the story goes on, right? It doesn't end there.
Oh yeah, definitely. Story goes on.
That reminded me about my thought about movies sometimes. You know how like you watch I'm sure you've seen romantic movies and probably sad movies too, or
I
whatever,
love romantic movies.
or action
Uh,
movies, right? They
mm-hmm.
just tell you, like how it ends in a happy ending, right? They're just showing you a chapter of like a lifetime. It doesn't show you the whole picture of the ups and downs of what's going to happen. And sometimes when you're into those kind of movies, or if you try to uh, not combine, that's not the word, but if you're trying to make treat a movie as a reality, I find that to be like a big mistake that most people do today, I think, because I was
I
in
mean,
that case
you're
too.
not, you're not supposed to do that. I mean, yeah, a lot of people are guilty with, oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
this and this because of this movie, because of that movie. Yeah, I mean, you're
It,
supposed
it,
to.
yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah. It's just that sometimes when you're I don't even know how to say this right, but if you don't have a lot of things happening, or if you don't have anything going on, sometimes you stick to the movies to kind of hit all those emotional points that you need to feel, you know.
Yeah, of course.
And sometimes because you stick to them so much, it somewhat drives what you do in life too. You kind of become you kind of embody the movie or the character in that movie that you're watching, which you
Hmm.
shouldn't do because they're made for entertainment. But that's
Yeah.
just me. That's just one thought that I had when I was watching a movie with my girlfriend one time.
Yeah.
But anyways,
tell me about yours. What happened to you this week?
well, here's the thing. I don't know if I told you that I'm trying to make some progress with my career in the insurance industry. Well, I wanted to get certified, right? And for me to get that certification, I have to take some trainings. Now, just an FYI, I canceled on Ralph last minute yesterday, because we were supposed to do the recording yesterday, but we didn't get to do that because I had to attend that training, and I didn't find out about that training until, well, the night before, I think. So I had to do that. I'm trying to take advantage of my leave, right? Because then these trainings, they take forever, meaning, it doesn't take like an hour to finish the whole training. It takes about 4 to 5 hours, right? And they're only given out at a certain, well, no, there's no, I know there's a schedule. I haven't paid much attention to it, but my goal is to, get as much done as I can, right, before my leave ends.
When does your leave end?
I think I'm going back on September 21st. So yeah, and that's what I would do in the evening. And yesterday, well, my fiance has to go to work too, right? And she leaves early. And because I'm unemployed at the moment, quote unquote,
You're not unemployed.
Well, I don't have any income at the moment because I'm still waiting for insurance benefits, or employment insurance benefit. And I had to, prep her breakfast and everything before she takes off for work. So that means getting up earlier in the morning.
Oh, she works day shift?
Yeah, she works on days, and she'd work for 12 hours. And the whole day I'm with our daughter, right? And taking care of your kid is a full-time job. It's not easy. It's not as easy as what moms make it look. It's I couldn't even explain it. There are moments where like she has so much energy, you want to keep up with her, but you just couldn't because you're probably tired from doing all these other things, right?
Because you're not 2 or 1. You don't have that energy.
Yeah. Well, like you said, like we want to sleep earlier, if as much as possible, and get as many hours of sleep as we can. So that's basically it. Like if you do that 3 times, in a row, it gets to a point where you're like, okay, I need help. Well, I'm just glad that we live with my parents, so they help out here and there. But still,
imagine even though if your parents aren't there,
that would have sucked. Maybe there's gonna be, my fiance and I were talking about this. We would probably fight a lot because we're both tired. You know what I mean?
You're just cranky and like,
go do
this, go do that.
Or when when our daughter starts crying in the middle of the night and she's tired from work, right? She's tired from work and just hoping to get a good night's sleep. And then if our baby starts acting up, then that kind of ruins the sleep and it makes you more tired the next day. And then you have to do another 12-hour shift, which it's really exhausting for her. So that's where it is. Like it's just the way things are right now.
That's your week.
That's basically my everyday.
That's your everyday right now. Okay.
That's on top of all the other side projects that I'm working on, right? Like
writing
and all that other stuff.
Hey man, you gotta do what you gotta do. The challenge is awesome, right?
Exactly. It is. It is. And to add to that, that's what I'm trying to tell myself too. Right now it's hard, but whatever, if something's gonna come out of this, it would be me trying to, me getting better at managing my time. To be in and out of focus in a very short amount of time. You know what I mean? Like I don't have to wait for the stars to fall for me to be focused on doing something, because my window
Mm-hmm.
is always tight. You know, you gotta get up, you gotta prep, breakfast, prep dinner, wash the dishes after, watch after your baby, and then you gotta take care of yourself too at the same time.
Right.
Um, so yeah, that's
I want to go
basically my
back.
week or everything.
Yeah, I want to go back to what you said about like just unemployed, being unemployed. I mean, technically you're not, but just in
Mm-hmm.
general,
Mm-hmm.
because I am technically unemployed now since my last day was Friday.
Yeah.
I don't like the feeling of not having a job. Like it's just it feels weird, dude. Like it's just like ugh. Like I feel like I'm not doing something. Which when of course I'm not doing something. I don't have a job. So
Let's dig into that.
no, I don't want to.
You don't
Not
want to?
yet. No, only because okay, let me say something that
Mm-hmm.
I okay, so there was a listener that reached
Mm-hmm.
out to me,
Okay, let's
right?
hear.
And this listener had a suggestion, well, more of a comment.
Mm-hmm.
They said that I think this listener listened to the last one that we had last week,
Mm-hmm.
not the ones before, and they said that it was awesome, but we need
There's a
to,
but in there.
yeah, of course, there's a but, and I love
Then
the
that,
but
that
because
then that
that
just
means
ruins everything that you just said, right?
no, it's not, no, it's not because if everything was just awesome, then we don't strive to be better. You know what I'm saying? No,
Yeah,
no,
good call. Yeah, yeah, I see what you're
yeah.
saying. I see what you're
Before
saying. Yeah.
before you say anything, let me
Okay.
tell you what they said first. Yeah, they just
Okay.
said that we're too serious. We need to have a little fun. Like all our conversations are like pretty deep usually. Which last, if you listen to the last episode, we went deep on things.
I know, but guys, that's my thing. Like I go too deep,
Yeah,
about pretty much
I,
everything.
I, I, and I
Which is
agree.
probably why it's good, right? Which is probably why it was good,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
you
it's because
brought up things that, okay.
it was good. It was good quality conversation, but
Yeah, I guess
no
we're
one's
pretty
gonna
serious.
no one's gonna listen to that on a daily basis, and I agree. Like we can't just be doing that. Like we
Well,
have to mix
no,
in some fun, some light stuff.
right. And that will happen eventually. Again, guys, and that's why it's called the Balikbayan box,
Well,
right?
okay. Well,
Anything
no.
can come out.
Yes,
Like
I agree.
we're not trying to, force things out. There's no director in this conversation. Whatever comes out, right?
Right, you're right. But I agree what you said. But at the same time, we can't just be keep using. Oh, it's just Balikbayan box. That's a
Well, I know.
crutch.
And
Everything is
here's
just like, guys, this is Balikbayan box. Like,
and
no, we can't just
and
do that.
and
And
don't get me wrong though. Like any comment is well
and,
appreciated,
and
because
we
that's what we
appreciate.
need.
Thank you, thank you,
Yeah,
thank you. Yeah, we appreciate. We appreciate the comments. And do you want
yeah,
to get in with the other comments? No, you want to get
sure.
into that conversation? You lead with this
Giver.
one.
What other comment are you talking about?
The comments that we
Oh,
talked. Yeah.
oh. Well, another. I'd say a friend suggested too, who listened to. I don't know if they even listen to the podcast, but
I'm not
um,
sure.
he was talking about cock blocking. Like, what are your thoughts on cock blocking? So then I'm like, it's pretty simple. Like, if your friend is trying to cock block you, then is he really a friend? First of all, did you even try to find out why he's trying to do that in the first place? Maybe he's trying to protect you, and not or maybe he's trying to prove something, right? Maybe he's trying. I don't know. Maybe he's trying to again. Um,
Not gonna
bottom line is,
lie.
I
Yeah,
don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
yeah.
Well,
Not
no,
yeah.
this person, not
Right,
you,
right. No, right.
but
Yeah,
him.
yeah. Not gonna lie. I didn't read anything, so this is new. This is new information. But keep going.
He talks about cock blocking. So then I'm like, okay, can you guys talk about cock blocking? Well, just talk to the dude, man, and find out why he's trying to cock block you. And then whatever answer he comes up with, then there's your answer. There's really not much to talk about in there, right?
Right.
And I guess I understand the reason why he's only bringing this one up is because, I don't even know how he's dealing with the situation. Maybe he couldn't confront the person that whoever's trying to
Well,
cock block him, right?
so yeah, and like explain it more because I don't even know what you're talking about.
I'll be honest, I don't know much of the situation either. He just gave me, like talk about cock blocking.
So assume. What do you think?
So I'm making
Why
an
is he
assumption
asking
here.
this? Yeah. So you're saying
Well,
that he's
he
trying to
has
get
a
with a girl?
he's trying to get with this girl, and I guess a friend or a person is trying to, get in his way of getting the girl. In what
Which is
ways, I don't know, right?
which is cock blocking. Yeah.
It was just cock blocking, and again, when you say something like that, I try to get more specific, right? However, I don't get it. I didn't get a chance to do that, by the way. If someone's cock blocking, maybe it's just your perspective, right? Maybe you think he's cock blocking, but maybe he's not. I don't know, right? Um, you kind of have to tell me more about the situation as opposed to me telling you exactly that I understand where you're coming from, because I don't.
I just
Um,
realized that your room is dark again. Can you turn on your light?
I thought you didn't. I thought you wouldn't notice.
Are you trying to save your electric bill? Is that what you're trying to do?
No, it's. I have a lame reason as to why I don't want to do that. Right
I don't
now in my
care.
screen, I have a blue light filter, right? So it doesn't ruin my sleep when I go to bed after this podcast. Now my night light doesn't have that blue light filter. It's
No,
supposed to
nobody
wake you up.
care. Who
Exactly, but
cares? Okay. Okay.
but that's
Nobody
exact.
care.
But that's exact. I just answered your question. Though. Why is it dark? Well, it's not because I'm trying to save electricity. It's because
And
I wanted
anyways,
the blue light
go
filter,
back. Yeah, go back to the cock
the
blocking
cock
stuff.
blocking, right? There's a lot. It For us to get into this conversation, I just realized that I should have asked more questions, right? I don't know. You just, suggesting
Yeah.
a topic isn't really gonna. There isn't really much to talk about, because then I would just say, well, then just talk to the person, right, to find out
Mm,
why. And here's the other thing: what exactly do you want to know about cock blocking, right? Are you trying to figure out how to deal with that? Well, confront the person if that's what you're trying to do. Or maybe you should just find a different girl. Is she really worth it, right?
or maybe he just wanted your overall thoughts, like nothing, no direction, really. Maybe it's like, what do you think about cock blocking? And let
Well,
you drive
it's
that.
tough. Well, it's a pain in the ass. It's a piss off, right? Someone's
Mm.
trying to cock block you. You're not going to be happy about. Are you going to be happy about that? Because if you are, that there must be something wrong with you.
I mean, usually when someone's trying to cock block, if they're not a relative of the girl, usually they're competition. That's like usually the case when someone is
Yeah,
cock blocking.
yeah. So then, if it's a competition, it, then it's a competition, right? If this
Right.
person's a friend, then it's not being a friend, unless
Let me, but
you know what I mean.
let me hear your thoughts on this. What do you think about that as far as on the guy's perspective? That
Mm-hmm.
you have a, you know the term "may the best man win." You know,
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to get this girl's love, and this
Mm-hmm.
other dude's trying to do the same thing. But
Mm-hmm.
if you were to be the lucky one and she
Mm-hmm.
chooses you,
Mm-hmm.
then whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
my question is, do you really want a relationship to start like that? That
No.
if you think about the girl's perspective, like it wasn't a clear thing. Like she had a choice. It's either this or this person, and in the end, for some reason, you did something that made her choose
Like you
you,
more.
right? Instead of like just being a clear cut thing. Is
Uh,
that I
okay.
don't know
What's the
if for
question? What's the
some,
question?
what do you does that feel like it's right
Okay.
to you? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
For the girl, yes.
yeah.
Perfectly.
You think so? You
Yeah.
think so?
Yes. it is like we're all competing with each other, right?
Mm.
It's a mating game, really, right? And it's better to, if there's a competition, I think it's better that way, right? It Because then she gets a choice, because everyone, like, girls are lucky to have that kind of choice, right? Because they don't want to end up with someone they're going to regret too, right? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And on the guy's perspective, I don't know either if they really want the girl or are they in it for the competition. Sometimes guys are competitive, right?
Majority of
Um,
guys are competitive.
right. And the weird thing too is, like, we try to, instead of trying to win the girl, sometimes we're trying to compete with other dudes.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of coolness and all that stuff, right? Like, you want to act cool in front of all your guy friends, right? Girl probably doesn't give a shit, but you want to act cool to your guy friends,
Mm-hmm.
right? So then when that happens, who are you doing? Are you doing this for your friends, or are you doing it for you? Are you doing it for your kind of, like, to buff up your ego, or you're doing this for the girl, right? Like, you kind of have. Am I going too deep again?
No, no.
Uh,
I had a thought about
uh-huh.
something. Uh, for some reason, I imagine an imaginary listener that
Mm-hmm.
this is gonna comment, drink every time Ramon says ego on an episode.
Hey, you know what? Okay, I've been thinking about our last episode, by the way, and how you reacted to what I was trying to say about ego. All
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to say there is, um, your your ego is driven by your beliefs, right? So now, if you're trying to impose your own belief as what's right, then that's you trying to kind of like shove in your ego into someone else's, I guess, belief. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think what she did was, like, for the way I interpreted the situation was, you were just misappropriating the word ego. Like, I had a
That's what
different
it seemed
term
like, I
for it.
guess.
Yeah, and you
Yeah,
kept saying ego, and I'm like, no, it's not. It's not ego. Like, at least not on my book. Of course, I
and
understand
it,
what you're saying. I
and I
just didn't want you
understand
to say
too,
that. Yeah.
and I understand too, because I was listening to it again, and I'm like, fuck am I saying? I do have a point, but this is the kind of stuff that I want to write about, because it's a complex idea that I can't just, spit out like that. Like, if
Because
you've
you're
heard of Jordan,
generally
yeah,
who?
because maybe because
George R. R. Martin.
no, Jordan Peterson.
Oh,
Sometimes he
Jordan.
goes, he goes around to get into a conclusion. Like, you can't just go right into the point, because you can't just go from point A to point B, because then it's not going to make sense to you. There's a lot of factors involved in how you got from point A to point B, and that's the kind of
Well,
stuff that I wanted to.
it
Um,
depends.
well, of
Sometimes,
course,
the most efficient way is to just go to A and B, just straight shot.
yeah.
But I know what you're saying. Uh, what else was gonna bring up? Do you want to bring something up? Anything that you want to talk
Well,
about
we're
regarding
supposed
the?
the cock
Hmm?
blocking. I want to stop it.
No, 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 I don't want. Yeah, like the rest of that conversation, the rest of
Oh,
what they said.
what else? Oh, one of them is like, oh, why don't you guys talk about, well, where would you guys be if you guys didn't, move to North America? And I'm like, I think we already talked about that one. I don't in the first episode. Um, that was one of the other suggestions, but that just
Hmm.
that just shows that they didn't really listen to the first episode. It's a long one, right? Like, and and again, I
No, the
totally
first one
understand.
was the first one wasn't long. The
I
first
can't
one was one
remember.
of the shorter ones. Yeah.
All all I remember was I was stuttering and I was thinking, on the spot.
Here's another thing. Okay, this this is an ego boost for you.
Okay.
So the same person that told us about that whole, like, you guys are
Mm-hmm.
good, but sometimes boring and
Yeah.
blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
Also, because this person stopped listening, because this person was kind of getting bored. This is this is the same person that told the engineer person.
Oh,
Yeah, it's the same exact person.
okay.
But this person, they really liked last episode, and because I kept convincing them that, come on, RJ got better. RJ got better.
Got better at what?
Got better as like, because like what you said, you were like thinking overthinking.
Oh, yeah. Well, I
It
had
was
to
kind
because.
of, yeah. I mean, you don't have to justify, but the point is,
Mhm,
we in general, our conversations and our rapport when it comes to this
mhm.
recording it has gotten better already from
I
one
guess so.
to seven.
Yeah.
No, not I believe it.
Or
I
or
believe
or here's the
it.
other thing. Like, see, I'm stuttering right now too. Or sometimes when we talk about stuff that I already thought about, then I don't
It's
need to
easier
think.
for you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That's why it's easy for me to get deep into some of those other subjects because I already thought about them. But if I
yeah.
was trying to explain something new to you and I'm thinking on the spot, it's not gonna come out right. Kind of like that ego, right?
Mm,
So you know how I'm
mm.
like, I don't understand how can you not get my point from, like, ego belief. Like I have all these connections in my head that I failed to communicate. And I probably assumed that you knew what I was talking about, but I guess you didn't. And most people, I'm sure they didn't.
Yeah, but
Um,
yeah, let's not go back to that.
uh-huh.
So this person really like they really liked the last episode.
Hmm.
I want to swerve, and I don't know if you want to talk about this, but it's my response to
Hmm.
those conversations that you just said, and we talked
Okay.
about if we wanted to talk about it here regarding
Okay. You're
toxic
being you're being
toxic
you're being
toxic
vague.
behavior toxic
Okay.
behavior.
Ah. Okay.
Okay, you get it.
Let's
Okay,
get it. Let's get into it. Toxic
all right,
behavior.
all
Then
right. I want you.
try to be more specific.
Yeah, I want you to lead this conversation.
Um. Well, sometimes I guess let's start with messaging people, right? Um, on Messenger. If you read a message through text, sometimes you thought I was being a dick, but maybe I wasn't.
Well, we've had this conversation. Yeah,
Right.
a lot of miscommunication through just written stuff. Yeah,
Right. And sometimes it depends on your mood too when you're reading the text, right? If you're in a bad mood, everything that you read's probably going to come off,
you get it the wrong way. Yeah.
right, probably going to come off worse than it actually sounds. Because maybe that's what's
Hmm.
happening with some people sometimes when you talk to them online. Like, um, that's one. Um, in terms of, so let's start with that. There's a lot of miscommunication that happens sometimes when you're talking to
Okay.
someone. But that doesn't answer your question regarding toxic people. Some people just love to um, bitch about everything, right? I was that kind of person. I don't know if you were to go back 10, maybe 10, 12 years ago. I bitched a lot, man. Every like small thing in life is like I, small mistakes. I try to expand them into a scale that doesn't even make sense. You know what I mean? I was unhappy. Unhappy people do that. They become toxic and they try to drag their friends with them. And that's why, you gotta watch out because they can
You
easily
can.
drag you in there.
Yeah. Well, I disagree because you don't have to be disapproving of things even though you're unhappy. You can be supportive to things and conversations and ideas even though you're unhappy, but that comes with a certain level of maturity, I believe.
Exactly. When you say can, then yes, of course you can. Problem is, are you aware enough to notice that? Because if you lack some self-awareness,
It's not
you're
gonna
gonna
happen.
not gonna happen. You're just gonna keep doing that until someone tells you, straight up, "Hey, man, you're being a dick." Right?
Yeah.
If no one tells you that straight up, then how would you know? You're blinded by your own actions. Um, so yeah, like in terms of toxic people, you just gotta be aware of them because there's a lot. Like I was one of them. I complained a lot. Small thing. I complain about the smallest things, but I don't do that anymore. And because I was that,
Mm.
I think it makes me. I'm not saying that I can do it accurately, but I can sometimes tell if the person's going through the same thing as I was going through, because I was there. I can kind of spot people who are probably unhappy with
Everything,
what they have.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's it's really a tricky subject when it comes to that. And when you talk about like toxic behaviors, but
Hmm.
you factor in toxic behaviors and then personal relationships like friendships,
Hmm.
like toxic behaviors in between inside those relationships, and that becomes a more complex, a more nuanced conversation. Because if you toxic people in general, if you have that and you're not friends with them and you're just like it's just a regular person,
Hmm.
all you gotta do is, all right, I don't need to talk to you, I'll just mute you. Yeah, toxic friendship is just, it's a little bit more complicated than just toxic something, you know, because you have the friendship in that little equation.
Hmm.
What do you do when one of your friends exhibit toxic behavior? Do you
I should ask
do
you
you
that. How
do
did
you
you guys
call them
deal
out?
with? How did you guys deal with me
I just
back
ignored
then?
you. You know what I mean? It's just like, especially like for someone who's just like stubborn and like don't listen. What do you
Hmm.
do with someone like that? I mean, you're obviously not. I'm not gonna stop being friends with you. Like you're my brother. I love you. So even though you're
Thank
annoying
you.
as heck, but it's so I'm just gonna mute you.
Until you smarten up, right?
Yeah,
Um,
because I mean, if you look at it now, it all worked out because you
hmm.
you you finally got over that trait. But then
Hmm.
you got
Self-awareness,
over,
right?
yeah,
Self-awareness.
but yeah, you went through a lot of like soul searching for you to able to get over that.
Right.
Not everybody has that, so
And that's a problem.
yeah, so I can't, you
That's
can't
where we
just
start.
as me as that friend,
Hmm.
you can't just that can't be the solution all the time. Like you can't just be just let him be.
It has to be specific to whoever the person is, right? It
Yeah, whoever
depends
the
on their
person.
personality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if,
Because
if there's.
you
Hmm.
because you have these people that have been toxic their whole lives, have been unhappy their whole lives, and with
Yeah,
no end in sight. Like there's
yeah,
no light at the end of the tunnel. It's just a long tunnel of darkness and a flashlight that's flickering with batteries like almost dead. That's what it is. It's just
yeah.
I would you let me ask you this. So
Hmm.
do you think that it's selfish for you as a friend to be like, I'm not getting anything out of this relationship, and every
Fuck,
time,
that's a tough one, man. That's
yeah,
a tough one.
yeah, I'm not getting anything out of this relationship besides the fact that I am constantly being dragged down by negativity and just all these bad thoughts and feelings. And as a friend, I'm trying my best to lift this person up and trying to, you know, to the best of my abilities, make it better for them, but they're not helping themselves, or it's hard. At what point? Well, first of all, is that selfish to think that? And
No.
second of all, at what point do you
Give
start
up
thinking about, yeah, thinking about, hey man, I mean, we can just be friends long
online.
distance. Yeah, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, you know, long distance, not meaning like physically long distance, but like you can just be right there. I can't deal with this. We're on different wavelengths. We're on different frequencies. We're not getting each other anymore.
You've outgrown the person. That's what
Go.
happened, right?
The floor is yours.
Right. You get to a point. This goes back to one of our episodes one time we already talked about this, that you never stay the same. You're always evolving and you're always growing. Now, the people around you may not be growing at the same pace as you, right? And what happens then is you're either, a little too far away from everyone else. And when that happens, that's when it becomes lonely. And maybe that's when it becomes, that's when you start feeling, sadness if you're either left out, right? It feels alone to be in that stage of life. Um, but but then again, if the person doesn't want to, well, here's the thing with trying to save people: if they don't want to be saved, you can't save them.
It's not even about saving. Like, let's not get that
What
confused. We're
what
not
what
we're
what?
not being we're not saving anybody here. It's more helping, assisting, trying to lift each other up instead of pulling each other down
But here's the
type
thing,
thing.
though. Like, to them, they're probably not trying to pull you down. They're trying to. I guess I can only speak from my own experience. Back then, if I was to, uh, you know, as to how I remember it today, all I'm trying to do is I'm unhappy and I need to I need to vent it out somewhere. And the only people I can vent it out to is my friends. However, my friends are tired of hearing me saying the exact same thing over and over, and I get that too. You know what I mean? Now, for some people, they're either trying to drag you down with them, or maybe they're not doing it. Uh, they're not. I don't think they're doing it intentionally. It's just that sometimes they just drain your energy so much that that's when you're like, hey man, maybe you need to leave them, because then maybe that
Yeah,
will tell them. Because then when you do that, that's when they're gonna go, oh shoot, is this guy being really a friend, or maybe it's maybe there's something wrong with me. Maybe I did something that pissed them off, right?
because
Um,
okay, let me interject for a little bit. Sometimes it's not even just about dragging, the term dragging each other down. You're right. Sometimes it could probably be, I'm unhappy. It's the same thing that we talked about previous episodes, like hurt people, right?
right?
It's like, I'm unhappy. I don't want to see you happy. Like, I want you to be unhappy as I am. I want you to be miserable. Misery loves company.
Exactly.
And like, here's another
But but but
controversial.
but but
Yeah,
here's the
let you
thing:
finish your thought. Finish your thought.
people do that unconsciously, though. They're not aware that they're dragging people down with them, right?
You're
Because
right.
they're like, blinded is not the word, but sometimes when you're too deep into it, y- your judgment is clouded. That's what happens, right? All you see is yourself. And back then, if I was to look back, I was selfish because I just see me, 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 me. I have a problem while you guys are having fun out there. Well, can you guys at least relieve me from my pain? But you guys are like, well, we can't keep relieving your pain for you, because then otherwise, well, you're trying to suck up our energy too. Like, we're trying to have fun here. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
It's good to be self-aware, like, because just a
mhm,
little bit example again, this whole breakup thing that happened to
mhm,
me,
mhm,
I was aware of that. I was aware of the fact that I was that friend that needed more than I can give at that point. It's more that I I'm sucking energy as well. So
mhm,
I made it a priority to kind of give people breathers. I
mhm,
can't just constantly talk to one person
mhm,
and ask their help. It's got to be like, I'm going to talk to this person
mhm,
twice, 2 days
mhm,
in a row, but then I'm going to
mhm.
have to give this person a break because I can't be that person who just drags in this.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Because even if you're
Of
that
course.
person, for example, if I'm that friend and I know this one person is having such a bad time, such a terrible time, I would,
Mhm.
of course, I'm gonna be their friend and I'm gonna help them. But
Exactly.
I also have battery life. Like, I will be drained.
Mhm,
But to add to your point, it's, that's one instance when someone is
mhm,
temporarily hurting, temporarily, like,
mhm.
on that pedaling. But you have those other people, like we talked about, who just, that's just who they are. It's just like you're just getting sucked out of, constantly sucking, like, the positivity of your life.
Yeah. Well, in that case, then it's best to just leave them there for now. I'd say for now, because you never know when they're gonna change. Because if you don't leave them, then that if you don't change anything, nothing's gonna change. You leaving them will change something, because that's a change, right? The act of leaving is a change. So then if
Mm.
you leave, then something's changed, right? So he's gonna question himself, like, okay, the, the hell did I do, right? And now he's gonna start. The moment you start asking yourself, what the hell did I do? Then that's when your self-awareness kicks in, right? Then you
Oh,
backtrack. Then, like, what did I say this? Did I say that? And sometimes it's I'm gonna loop this back to dating, right? Like, when someone, like, the girl says, you're legal, right? Like, if if you're kind of like asking her if there's a future between you two, or like a future of you guys being together, and she goes, uh, uh not this time, or not really. Like, some of them, they don't give you a reason as to why not. You know what I mean? They just,
mm,
most girls wouldn't even give you that. They're gonna keep you guessing. Then that's when you become self-aware. It's kind of the same thing. Like, eh, dating or not, even with friends, even with family, sometimes, right? You don't say things out loud, because you don't. First of all, you don't want to hurt the person, right? Unless they're really being a dick or a bitch. Then that's when you become straight. Then you tell them things straight up. But sometimes you want to be polite, right? You don't want to be viewed as a bad person. So as someone who, let's say a friend is trying to reach out to you, and you can't be like, yeah, sorry, man, I can't help you. I'm too busy with this shit. Sometimes you don't you don't want to say that. You try to, like, have you try to help them. However, it's half-assed, right? It, like, you give them enough to make it look like you are helping them, when really you don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Am I
mm-hmm.
making sense? And to that person,
Yeah.
it was like, okay, eventually he's gonna feel that too. He's gonna figure it out. But question is, how long is it gonna take him to figure that out? That's why sometimes it's best to just be honest. If you're not honest, then you have to, like, wait for signs, make some assumptions here and there, and make sure that your assumption is correct.
Let me ask you this.
Uh-huh.
Since obviously it's, you can't just be like, all right, I don't want to be friends with you anymore. I'm breaking up with you, or you with your friendship,
You're not gonna say
right?
that. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
not
no,
gonna
no, no,
say
no.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not gonna say it, but, like, sometimes your actions can mean that.
Yeah.
that like I'm gonna stop being friends with you or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can also demote friendship.
What does that mean? Okay, you have to expand on that one.
Okay, so you have your close friends, right?
Uh-huh.
You have your closer inner circle where
Mm-hmm.
you talk to them. You don't have to talk to them every day, but you talk to them about
Mm-hmm.
the things that matter, like private stuff, things that matter to you, things that you don't normally tell people. And
Mm-hmm.
then you have the outer friends where you just like you enjoy their company, you guys laugh,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, you guys
Mm-hmm.
do stupid crap. And
Mm-hmm.
then you have these like peripheral friends,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe this is like the last tier of friendship. And you have
Mm-hmm.
these like the childhood friends that you don't really talk to anymore, and you
Mm-hmm.
have friends that were close before but something happened and you guys it got awkward and you guys
Mm-hmm.
technically are still friends but you don't really talk to them anymore, so it's more like the rejects, right?
Right.
Demoting me is what I mean is that like
Oh,
at
you have
one
like
point
different set of
they just like
friends.
yeah like you used to be my close friend, now you're going to be on that third outer layer.
Kind of like our friend Kodal, right? Joe Peter.
Is he really a friend? Is he really our
Uh,
friend? Is it
he,
really your friend?
I treated him as a friend at one point, but he's got,
No, no, no.
it's
I'm
got to
not
to a
talking
point.
about. Yeah, I'm not talking
But
about.
what I'm saying
Dude,
is,
I'm talking about now. So he's like
well,
in that third layer, right?
well,
He's like
yeah,
that.
well, like the cat, like this friend will move around because life is not stationary. Again,
Mm-hmm.
we're all growing, and then as you grow, um, and as you grow as a person, you meet more higher quality people that you want to surround yourself with, right? And and that's when you want to bring into your circle. And whoever's toxic, well, you put them on the side, not
Yeah,
abandoning
but
them,
yeah,
but
but that's my thing though. That's the thing that kind of fascinates me about friendship in general. Like it's so general and it's so like vast that you can be friends. You can become friends with someone 20 years ago
uh-huh,
for like a 2 week period,
uh-huh,
not talk to them for 20 years, and you when you talk or you talk about them, you still talk to them and
uh-huh.
you address them as, oh, that's my buddy, that's my friend, you know.
And when you talk to
Friendship,
them, it feels like it was yesterday.
no, sometimes, but sometimes it's not, and there's no distinction. It's just always like, oh, that's my buddy, that's my friend, that's my boy, that's my
Uh-huh,
girl, whatever. My point is, why don't we break up with friends, like unless there's a falling out, like an actual event that either it's a fight, an argument, something that happened that makes us stop being friends with a person. When
uh-huh,
there's no event like that, we don't stop being friends with people, or at least not on paper. It's you know what I'm saying. It's always going to be
kind of,
there's just
yeah.
there. And I don't know. I feel like we need to stop being friends with some of these people. I feel like I recycle them friends, baby. Like there's too many. There's what 7 billion people on Earth. You don't need to be
Well,
attached with certain like type of people.
well, if you think about it, though, doesn't it really boil down to just a,
Ego? I'm kidding.
no, not ego, but more of like um, a name is not what the word that I'm trying to describe this. Um, you don't need to call them friends to call them. You don't need to call them a friend or an outsider or whatever to treat them as an outsider. Like the way you're naming people or the way you categorize them is different from the way you treat them. Am I making sense? Like sometimes when people ask me, like, yeah, if I'm friends with that person, that means I talk to this person and I know him. Like I can talk to him comfortably. But then there are some friends that I know through other people. I wouldn't really consider them. as friend, but as someone that I know of. When we see each other, and just, when we see each other, we're gonna talk, but I'm not gonna talk to them about, like my family, my kids, or anything like too personal about me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like some friends at work too. Like I, I try to, like, I don't share a lot of personal stuff. The, if you hear me sharing personal stuff with you, then that I consider you as a friend. But if I'm holding back, regarding that kind of stuff, or anything personal, then I'm not really considering you as a friend just yet. Am I making sense? It's
Yeah, that makes sense.
so some people that you, um, I guess, that you used to be close friends with, and today you're not as close anymore because you guys just moved to different. Um,
It's different phases in your life, different
yeah, it's
different contexts.
yeah, it's just like any relationships do, right? It's
Okay,
story
that's
story
exactly.
story story just ended. The difference between friends and romantic relationship it's really just, I think, the romantic side of things, right?
Yeah, and then romantic side of things, it's more like you constantly work at it. You're consciously trying to like we're aware at it as with friends. It's just there's kind of just no consequence really.
Well,
But
that's why it's easy to just leave it there, right?
yeah, let me like another thing too is like I don't remember how many years it is, but there's like this thing that says after a certain amount of time,
Mm-hmm.
friendships become like become like lifetime. I think if you're friends for more than 10 years or 12 or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
like that person becomes your friend for life after like a certain point.
The
And
answer to
so
that is always it depends, though.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. And so to that, I'm like, why? What's the time got to do with it? If I want to stop being friends with you, why can't I just stop being friends with you? Like, you know what I mean? If it's like you're not doing nothing, you're not doing anything for me, with me, nothing. It's just there's no we're just friends on Facebook or friends on whatever, and we
Right?
barely talk. Are we really friends? Like, I mean, I'm not trying to be
No.
mean, but are we? Is that really a thing?
Yeah, it's not. That's the thing. Like, even I sometimes, with the word friend, I'm like, I'm pretty careful with how I use it, right? Eh, and and when it comes to breaking up with friends, you don't really break up with them. You just stop hanging out with
You
them,
don't. Yeah,
and then
but
they're gonna.
that's my thing. It's not. It's a unique friendships are unique relationships in that way that
Hmm.
there's besides like what I said. Besides, if it's actual falling out, you just
Hmm.
be friends forever because you just pick it back up, even if you're not you don't talk for like
Yeah,
years. But
yeah.
sometimes it's just you're
Well,
not that same person anymore.
well, last time I talked to, like, you and I talk 5 minutes every year, I think.
And
I don't know. I don't
for,
know.
for like
Probably once
the
a year,
past like 6 7 years, right? Oh,
right?
we
Because
do. We
everyone's
have
been busy,
yeah, but
right?
we still had like the messaging
Other ways
before.
of communicating.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean that kind of got
right.
became dry too at some point, but
Yeah,
for I'd say for when did we start the? Because it started with the BlackBerry, the BBM, the BlackBerry
yeah.
Messenger.
Hmm.
I think that was like 2011 maybe. We started this thing with Lizelle. It was
Yeah,
us
like you
three.
see, even with Lizelle, right? Like now,
Yeah.
we
Well,
stopped our
when we
chat.
start talking, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying though. Like it's um there's and that's Lizelle is like the latest friend.
Hmm.
You know, she's you know we gotten close to her this past like
Hmm.
decade because of well
Hmm.
you guys were closer before I got close to her because of that.
I can't even remember how we got close. Well, here's the thing. Like, I'm
It was like MySpace
back,
days.
back in, not really. Back in, I guess back in elementary. Like, I'm pretty close to a lot of people, I think.
I hated Lizelle like back in elementary,
Really?
and we've talked about this. Like she used to make fun of me because I used to be drooling and stuff. Remember
Yeah.
Lawai?
Yeah,
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 because
yeah.
I was on
Because he had that
Lawai.
retainer, yeah.
And she always look at me like ooh, like she's always like grossed out at me. Which now
Which
I
makes
of
sense
course I
though.
get, yeah, of course. But when I was younger, I'm like, what? What's gross about this? What's gross about what's gross about this lawai? This drool all over my.
This is normal.
Oh my god,
uh,
dude.
but
Yeah, but
yeah, like, and again, like, look at where she is now. She's probably too busy to, even talk. 'Cause she has other more interesting things to do now.
right, it's just
You know what I mean?
and
And I
it's
can
one of
see that.
those
Like, I
things.
respect that too.
Yeah, yeah, and it's one of, if with the and because if we didn't have this like podcast, we wouldn't talk like weekly. We wouldn't like have any reasons to do this, you know?
Yeah. Other than just catching up once a year, I guess, or
Yeah, yeah. We'll do our like 5 minute like phone calls every year. That's
yeah, because
about it.
sometimes I'm like, yeah, just say hi. And like, fuck, okay, this conversation is not really going anywhere, so it's time to end it, right?
Exactly, exactly. Because
Um,
if if you don't want to go further than just like, oh, how you been doing? What's new?
yeah.
And like, we don't go
What's
to
the
these
weather like?
conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the weather like?
Um, but yeah, that's yeah. You just you just leave it there, I guess, when it comes to friends.
Yeah, I guess there's no breakup with friends.
It
It-
yeah, and it's not selfish by any chance. I don't think
yeah, I don't personally. I don't think so.
it's
You just it's the same. It's the same as you're looking out for yourself. You're looking out like
well, yeah, it's the
the
same
people
thing with
that
me.
yeah
I'll be
you look
honest.
out.
It, like, there was a point in my life where everyone was like, everyone had a family, everyone has kids. So then I'm like, okay, I can't really. I felt like I wouldn't want to. I felt like I wouldn't say leave the group, but every time there's an event or a party or something, I'm not really excited to be with that group because all they talk about are family shit that I can't really relate with. So then I'm like, well, I understand. Like there are times when I felt like I I don't feel like going, and it's not because I wanted them to stop talking about kids and all that stuff. Man, that's the stage where they're at, and I wanted them to have that conversation too. But me adding into the if you add me into the equation, it's not really. Mm, I'm not. I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm not really providing any value to them anymore, right? And I'm not getting any value from them either. Though, we're still friends, but now that we all have families and stuff, and then things have changed again, right? Because now I can relate to them.
You're back in the circle.
I'm back in the circle, but um, yeah, it's just me. Like, felt like not caring much about the group because they've got nothing to lose. I've got nothing to lose. However, we're still friends, but in terms of hanging out and stuff,
Yeah,
I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm drifting. I'm drifting away from the group back then
yeah.
because of where I'm at in life, right? Um,
And that's just the practical stuff of the world. Like that doesn't. It's not in the movies. Like what we've been talking about. Like
mhm,
for example, if there's a group of 5 friends, right?
mhm,
5 friends that 4 of those friends graduated college and
mhm,
have jobs and like
mhm,
good paying jobs and
mhm,
success. And one of the friends did not go to school
mhm,
and are kind of struggling financially, this and that.
mhm.
That dynamic doesn't work anymore. It's hard on
Well,
so many
you
levels.
well you again, you guys are different people now, right?
Exactly,
When you guys
exactly.
started, you guys were all the same, and you guys had the same set of beliefs. That's why you guys were friends. But as you get older, you move to different, you go through different paths, right? Different phases.
Yeah.
And if you guys are not in the same phase, then obviously there's a disconnect, right? That's when
Right.
things start to, um, I guess, fade. I don't know if fade is the word, but that's when things are starting to drift away between you and whoever
Yeah.
this
Because
person
you,
is.
you 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 cannot be, or at least like with the whole, you have these regular friends, like everyday friends, regardless of they're close friends or not close friends, but
Hmm.
friends that you can talk to and hang out on a daily, weekly basis because you guys are on the same path.
Right,
One person
right.
could be like that whole, like in that example, the four graduates and one not.
Hmm.
They can still stay friends in lesser capacity, meaning like get
Hmm.
together every now and then,
Yeah,
talk to every now and then, but they can't be that same thing. Like, oh, we hang out every day. It doesn't work at all. It doesn't work.
right, right. Again, different stages, right? Like if we were to go back, in high school, the people that we used to hang out with, um, again, we're all doing something different now, and like even like with Jekyll, right? Like it's not the same anymore, and it's never
No,
gonna be the same. But the only thing that binds us together is the memories of the past,
hmm
right? But that's
that's
about
why.
it.
Well, yeah, that's why. What do we do when we talk? We're always like just reminiscing and talk about like, remember this, remember that,
Yeah.
and it's awesome. Of course, like it
Hmm.
brings you good memories, happy thoughts, happy feelings. But
But it ends there.
yeah, because what do? You can't really hang out every day, talk every day, because it's just not you're not the same people that you used to. It's not the same.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And,
And
and, and
just to interject, and that's why, you know, I'm amazed how our you and I's friendship have evolved throughout the years. Do you let pause. Let me re-ask this question. Do you think it's evolved, or is it because we kept in touch? That's
I think it's
why
because we
we
kept in touch. I think
mm,
that's a
yeah.
big part of it,
Yeah.
because there are some people that you haven't talked to in such a long time that, like, I've had friends that I used to hang out with back in high school. Hang
Yeah.
out a lot. Um, but after a few, dramas here and there between other friends in the same group, um, things have changed, and you haven't talked to this person in such a long time.
Yeah.
And like back then, you see them, you can feel like you can talk to them comfortably about everything. Because I remember going to, like, this is used to be a good friend of mine. She had a party, and like, I haven't seen her in a long time. I attended the party, but when I saw her at the party, it was more like, um, it was weird because if you think about it, there are so many stories that I could come up with because we haven't seen them. I haven't seen or hung out with them in such a long time.
hmm
But when I was at the party, nothing comes out other than hi or hello. I don't even know where to start because there's this much of, story that, okay, in my screen, there's much story that was missed, right? And there's just too many to to go through,
Yeah.
and so you end up not saying anything, and
I mean, and a
it,
party is not
it
really
makes it awkward.
a party's not really a good setting to do that
That's
anyways.
true. That's true. It's not. Yeah.
It's got to be
That
like a
that's a good point.
sit down converse, a lunch or a dinner. Like that's the
Yeah,
better
like
place for
over a coffee or something.
it.
Yeah, I guess that
Hmm
that's true. But we all know too that once you start, when you have that coffee with this person, there are times when you feel like you want to keep doing that regularly, or do you want to do it, once every 5 years?
Yeah. Because
Right.
I mean, you could tell when you have like a connection with a person, and sometimes you're just like, yeah, you're just a friend for a year. That's about it. Like without this shared experience, we weren't really gonna really be like, hanging out. There's nothing. It's not a symbiotic relationship. And let's be honest, usually it's like that. It's a give and take. I get something from you, you get something from
Yeah.
me. It is what it is. It might not be 50-50, but there's
It,
always a give and take.
and it has to be that way anyways. That's why it's called a
Hmm.
relationship, right? Any relationship,
Hmm.
there's always it needs to be there has to be give and take. You can't just give. You can't just take,
Yeah, I mean,
right?
unless the person in the relationship is a baby, that's a different. So they just take. But
Well,
other than that, that's the only exception.
oh yeah. Uh,
Babies
I don't know.
and
I don't know.
older people.
I don't know what else to add to that, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
think I think that I think that's just it's a good long discussion about being like friendship and all that stuff. Yeah, I
yeah,
just
it's a touchy subject too, right? Because you don't want to offend anybody.
yeah, but I mean
Um,
at the same time it's something. It's a conversation. It's a necessary conversation,
yeah.
especially
Or
with
hey, sometimes you're just too
friends.
busy too, right? Sometimes you're just too busy that you haven't had a
Yeah.
chance to talk to them.
Oh
Imagine if you
yeah.
have a baby right now too. Oh boy, it'd be
It'd be
different.
hard. Yeah, it'd
It'd
be
be
hard.
hard. Like yeah, like just trying to find the time to do this is a lot harder.
Oh, hard. Yeah.
Um,
Because
so then that's when
that.
things start to like we probably text each other here and there, but that's about it. That's the
Oh,
um,
well, if we
yeah.
have, but if we have the podcast, obviously we're still gonna do that. But are you talking about if we didn't have the podcast?
If we didn't have the podcast, or yeah, if
Okay.
we didn't have the podcast, or if we even planned on having the podcast in the first place, right? It'd still
Yeah,
be
yeah, yeah.
harder.
That'd be. I mean, you make time
Yeah.
with commitment. This is what I. That's what I
It really
always
boils
believe.
down to that. It really
We
boils
really,
down to that, right?
yeah. Like now we're both tired, but it's
Mm-hmm.
a commitment. Commitment. So we're starting this new segment called "What's in the Box,"
Uh,
and just a little introduction. We pick out certain Filipino related topics, and we just
mm-hmm.
talk about our thoughts on them, and we just go. We just go, baby.
I
Pinoy,
thought of,
baby.
I thought of something,
Oh,
something,
you
something
you
good.
change it. You
Changing,
do an audible.
changing.
Okay, okay. Because just so you guys know, just a
Okay,
little backstage.
right. Mm-hmm.
We've
It's gonna be
talked
a funny
this.
one.
We've talked about this topic for a whole week. Ramon's picked out a topic. We've talked
Mm-hmm.
about it for 7 days straight, and he's changing it right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Right.
kidding, by the way.
Proud of him.
We literally just talked about this 5 minutes ago. There's no prep. There's no 1 week prep.
Right. That's what we do in this podcast. We just do things on the fly because we're just putting our reps in. Anyways, let's talk about Tabo.
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 Okay.
Now,
Talk to me.
back in the back when I was in the Philippines, I was growing up. I never used um, a tissue. Right. I would wash my ass after pooping with a tabo. A tabo is basically a what do you call it? I don't know how you would describe it, but a small
It's a
pail
cup.
with a handle. Small pail with a handle, kind of
It's a
like
cup. It's a cup. Yeah, it's a big plastic cup with a handle.
it's kind of it's kind of like a cooking pot that's made out of plastic, if that's what you want to call it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. But
It's just something that allows you
yeah,
to scoop water,
scoop some
right?
water and wash that in.
Oh yeah, and splash it on your ass. Make sure you get all that the nasty stuff out.
All that brown
Apply
stuff
soap. Yeah, you
and
know
black stuff if you have cancer.
yeah, you rinse it first, wash it with soap, and rinse it again after. It's probably the cleanest way of cleaning your ass.
Mm-hmm.
However, obviously, it's not fun, right? You don't want to touch your asshole.
Some people might.
This is a gross topic, by the way.
I don't think it. I don't think it is.
But most Filipinos, like we can't afford tissue paper. We don't do that shit.
Well, for one, there's no toilet paper. Growing up, there's no toilet. The concept of toilet paper is so alien to Filipinos, especially in like non-city. Even in the city, there's the concept of that is just so ridiculous that we don't even think about it. So we can't afford a bidet like European people. So we improvise and we're using, we're using the cup to wash, our behind, our derriere. I don't even know what that term is, but to wash our behind. And just a little bit of not background, but just a little bit of side comment to this. That's why most Filipinos weren't worried about the toilet paper shortage of 2020 due to coronavirus. Especially here in America, everybody's all like, "Oh man,
that depends,
it's not toilet paper." Filipino is like, "What? You got Tabo, baby."
Yeah, but not everyone. Not everyone though. Like, I'm sure I have cousins who never got to use the Tabo, and they lived in the Philippines. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. But my cousins who grew up in the city, I don't think they bought into the idea of Tabo. Right. They've always had tissue. Like every time they come home to Kamiling, that's where we grew up. Small town in the Philippines.
It's not really a small town, but okay.
I'd call it a small town because it's not a city. That's why I call it a small town. It's either a city or a small town for me.
It's actually technically a city, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Like every time they come home, or not, they come over for vacation, right? They bring tissue paper with them.
Toilet paper, yeah.
Yeah, toilet paper, right? But here's the question, though. I'm sure you used to.
Huh? Because when you say tissue, it's like napkins. Yeah.
See, when you say that's another thing. Like when you say napkins, are you talking about like from women's menstruation stuff, right? When you say napkin.
No, napkin is something. It's tissue. It's a.
Totally understand what you're saying too.
Is this like an American/Canadian thing? Because here in the U.S. it's napkin. Use your napkin to wipe your mouth, or tissue. Yeah, it's not. And toilet paper is just toilet paper. It's not tissue paper. Yeah, but anyways, keep going. What's your point?
So yeah, well, here's a question for you. I'm sure you've used that too. You never used toilet paper, but now, do you still use Tabo?
No, I don't.
Okay, so now here's what I'm getting at. When did the shift start?
The moment I got here, of course. Like I wasn't,
were you like, oh shoot, now I have to wipe my ass with toilet paper with paper?
I was a weakling. I conformed just like that as soon as I got here, because you got to think about it too. Another point that you failed to say is Tabo. Just the concept of Tabo in general is such a backward thing. It's more like a status thing. That's what I'm trying to say. So people in the Philippines that can afford toilet paper will just use toilet paper. They're not gonna use Tabo because that's just poor stuff, like poor people.
Mm-hmm.
It's a status thing, and whether we like it or not, Filipinos are all in that status crap. Like we're all about that status stuff. So to go back to what you're saying is the moment I got here, the necessity of washing my behind using Tabo and water just it evaporated. I didn't need that. I just had the toilet paper. But to go back to this modern 2020 without such in a first world country, whatever, I actually use like baby wipes or just wipes in general.
You know what? I was surprised. when I came over to visit
Mm-hmm.
and you were using baby wipes, I was like, what the fuck? In my head, I'm like, man, I haven't thought about that. Like, it's kind of like a combination of Tabo,
Oh,
using
the
Tabo,
Tabo and
and I'm sure you're talking, like, we're talking about flushable
toilet,
wipes, right?
yeah, wipes, yeah.
Um, yeah, like, and to be honest with you, as soon as I came back here, I thought about using one of those too. Because,
Yeah,
it just feels good when you wipe it with, like a wet nap.
a wet nap, and
Uh,
it's cleaner.
well, yeah.
Yeah.
But after a while, I stopped using it. I'm like, screw this. I'll stick with toilet paper.
All right, just
This is
use
more expensive.
just use Lexi's. This is baby wipes. Just steal
But
some
yeah,
from your own daughter.
you can't flush it though. I don't think you can. I don't think it's flushable.
There's
I throw it in
flushable
the
ones.
garbage. Yeah, but they're more
There's
expensive.
flushable.
I'm cheap. We're
Yeah.
cheap. So,
Well,
um,
there's no cheap when it comes to ass, but okay.
yeah, like, yeah, I was just thinking, like, there's that shift when, at first using toilet paper wasn't right because it's not wet. You know what I mean? Like that wet
Yeah.
feeling, it
Mm-hmm.
feels dirty, especially when you're, pooping in a public place, right? That makes me uncomfortable too.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
This is very first world stuff, by the way. But people in the Philippines was like, yeah, I just use
hey,
this cup. I just use this cup like right here. I just wash it with this cup, and
uh-huh.
my ass is probably cleaner than both of y'all's. That's probably what
Well,
they said.
hey, well, what's the other thing? Like, they're probably thinking like, how the heck would you do that when you're squatting, right? When you're sitting down on the toilet, how would you use the
Use your
towel?
oh oh.
You know what I mean?
Well they don't use it in the toilet. They go to where the shower is. That's
That's
where they
where you
wash the.
wash.
That's what I did. I wasn't using the tabo in the toilet. That's messy, bruh. How you gonna do that? You just gotta clean the drain. You know what I mean?
Because I was just like, what if uh, there's no shower, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you
It's not
just
all.
I don't know. Like, what do you
You
do?
just
Like
make
you
you just make it work.
just make it work. Oh, I just have this memory of back in the day when I was younger. You know, of course, I used to hang out with my cousins and stuff, and
Mhm.
they would brag about the objects that they used to wipe their ass with. It's like a point of pride. I just remember that. It's like some of the kids are like, yeah, I use a stick of a tree branch to wipe my ass with, and one of them's like, I just used a stone. and, and
Imagine
like
sticking a
the
stone in there.
yeah, the majority of people are like, no, I just use leaves. So that at least that kind of makes sense rather than a tree branch or a stone or a rock, a piece of rock. Like their reasoning for the rock is you just got to find
Oh,
a
shoot.
smooth flat rock and just go all up in that thing and just start wiping it. And
That's a rare.
for
That's a
some
valuable
reason,
rock that you have to
yeah,
find.
for some reason my 5 6 year old brain was like, oh, that makes so much sense. That makes so much sense because I remember I was like, the rock was the out of all those three, the rock was the best choice in my mind. And best believe I tried wiping my ass with them rocks. It was not a good idea,
Well, here's the question: How
bro.
long, if you remember, how long did it take you to find the perfect rock to wipe your ass with?
It wa- it wasn't that long because it started to get uncomfortable. You know what I mean? At some point, you're just like, I just gotta wipe this crap out of my butt. You know, and you just
You-
because what you gotta do is you just gotta go home and actually wash it. You know,
That's
because
true. Well,
this was the fact that we didn't even just go to our bathrooms. You know what I mean? It was more like we were just playing. We were just playing outside, and we would just take a dump like in the woods. It doesn't make no goddamn sense, man. I'm just trying to remember all that stuff. Like you're just taking a dump, and it's like a group dump. It's a group dump too. You know what I mean? It's like all of us are trying to take a shit. Like what?
It's the
Like
thing. It's just
it's the
that's just
weirdest stuff.
it's weird.
You just gotta think about it. It's a bunch of like 6, 7-year-old kids just all lined up, just taking a huge like a collective group dump, and like would debate after which like stuff they would wipe their ass with. You
That's
know?
some crazy story, man. I couldn't imagine doing that with my cousins. Ay, ay, ay. I guess because all of you guys were dudes, right?
Obviously,
Right.
yeah. We would all just do that.
Well, most of my cousins are like it's a mix, so you can't really do that.
Yeah.
But that's some weird shit that you've done when you were a kid.
Oh yeah.
I bet it was fun though.
Oh yeah. I knew from back then that it would be good podcast material. That's why I did it. You know, when I was 5 years old, I'm like, 20-something years from now, I'd be like, I would talk about this with Ramon. But wait, I was 6, 7 years old. Did I know you then? No, I didn't know you then.
No,
No.
no, probably no. Most likely not, because
No, I did. I already did know you. So at 7, I already knew you because I
seven
started
is grade one
I started first grade
or
at
two.
I was 5 years old when I started first grade.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was 5 when I started first grade.
Trying to
So I
say
was
you're
7.
smart or something? Kidding.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to say. That's exactly what I was trying to. Wait, you should too, because we were on the younger side of our class.
I was 6 when I started. I started I
Wait,
was in grade one, and I was 6 when I was in grade one.
Well, I might have been 6 too. Never mind. I think I started school in general when I was 5, so that would have been like kindergarten or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I started kindergarten at 5, and then jumped to the grade 1, first grade at 6.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that would make sense. So yeah, I didn't know you then, but whatever. It was just weird.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah.
So
The weird concept of Tabo. Yeah. Tabo.
Yeah, Tabo is just. I think
Oh,
it's a good. I don't know. I wonder where that originated from. I wonder if that's something that we got from the colonial people, or was that something that came from us? If it's an original thing, you know.
It can't come from us because it's made out of plastic. You know
No,
what I
not
mean?
even just that. Just the concept of that.
Of washing your
Yeah,
butt.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's a tough one. Because,
Mm.
like, from what I know, like, now we're going back to history. I think Filipinos are not. We're not originals. We're a mix of everyone. Of every race out there. It's a
We are for the
weird,
most part.
right? It's a weird. I wouldn't call it weird, really. Like it's a different kind of race or ethnicity, right? You have
Yeah,
Chinese, you have Indonesians on the left.
where
Um,
there's this joke about this. We're kind of like we're basically just like the Mexicans of Asia,
could
because
be, yeah.
yeah, we were just like natives, and then the Spanish came, and that's it. They became Filipinos. Because
Yeah,
we're
but like, what about Indonesians though, right? And all those other Southeast Asian nations. They
yeah,
all came.
they're not they're different than us. They're the ones that look like us the most as far as
Mm-hmm.
the Asian side, because we don't look like the Korean, Japanese, Chinese
No.
Asians. We look
Mm-hmm.
more like the Malays, the Malaysia, Indonesia, but
Mm-hmm.
we're a lot more. We have Spanish in us. I don't
Oh,
think they
Spanish.
do. They don't have
Okay,
the
I see.
Spanish stuff in them. That's why we have mestizos and mestizas. They don't. I don't think so. The light skin stuff in their countries are like the Chinese
Mm-hmm.
descendants or whatever. I don't. I could just be making things up. I don't know. but it sounds like it makes sense.
Logical.
Yeah, it sounds logical.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
And that's it. That ends our.
Let's end this. Yeah, let's go on and end this. It was a good good week. Oh, just a preview. The next episode 9, it'll be Ralph from Georgia, not Ralph from Maryland. This is the last episode up in this bit.
You know what? That's better then, because then maybe the 9 p.m. will work out better, because now we're in the same time zone.
We're not going to be in the same time zone, bro. It's the same. It's the same. Georgia is the same exact time as Maryland. It's all the way down. It's the same time zone.
But when you were in Macon, we were in the same time zone, no?
No, we're not.
You gotta be kidding me. Let me double check that real quick.
Okay. New York Eastern time zone is the whole East Coast. Okay? Florida.
Yeah.
From Florida all the way up to Maine. That's Eastern time zone.
No, you're right. Yeah, never mind. Same time zone.
It's the same exact one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well, then okay, never mind.
Yeah.
I thought
tell the people where they can find you. Any comments? Anything else that you gotta address before we end this?
Nothing else other than we gotta go get some sleep. You guys can find me at reyesrjt.com, reyesrjt.com.
Just go on the description of this video. You'll see his information.
Perfect.
I don't even know. Do you know that I put that there? You probably didn't even check.
Probably didn't get a chance to check. No.
Okay.
Well, but maybe I should, right? Pay more attention to
your own product.
Oopsies.
Oh, that's great. It's a great podcast right there.
That's right.
Well, you can find me on Instagram at @RalphieBones_. That's RALPHIEBONES_. And please, if you like listening to us, if you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, watch the video, watch the podcast. Leave a comment. And we also have an Instagram account, which is official Balikbayan Box Pod. Please just send us a DM. Slide in those DMs.
One other thing, when you guys leave a comment, don't be like that guy who's asking us if he wanted to meet I don't know if you noticed, but in one of our
it's a bot, bro. That's a bot. That's not a real person.
I know that, but what I'm trying to say is, when you comment on something, make sure that it makes sense.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah.
We'll end this. You guys
Ciao,
have a good
baby.
night. Ciao.